federal judge is now blocking the Biden administration from asking social media companies to take down certain content. This is a big deal, and this could be a huge blow to the White House's fight against misinformation about COVID vaccines, elections, and many other critical issues. It's a big win for the Republican attorneys general who sued and accused the federal government of censorship.
Now, in his ruling, the Trump-appointed judge writes, quote, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the United States government seems to have assumed a role similar to an Orwellian ministry of truth.
What? Apparently that judge has been reading Matt Taibbi's writing because I mean, it's pretty word for word.
But like maybe yes, right?
Right. So as you all heard, a federal judge wants the Biden administration to apparently stop limiting disinformation on social media. Now let's take a look at more on this ruling per the New York Times and also per the federal judge in Louisiana who made this decision. In the ruling, Judge Terry Doughty of the US District Court for the Western District of Louisiana said that parts of the government, including the Department of Health and Human Services and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, could not talk to social media companies for the purpose of urging, encouraging, pressuring, or inducing in any manner the removal, deletion, suppression, or reduction of content containing protected free speech. In granting a preliminary injunction, Judge Doughty said that the agencies could not flag specific posts to the social media platforms or request reports about their efforts to take down content. And the ruling on Tuesday in a lawsuit brought by the attorneys general of Louisiana and Missouri is likely to be appealed by the Biden administration, but its impact could force government officials, including law enforcement agencies, to refrain from notifying the platforms of troublesome content. Now, Ellie Honig, CNN's senior legal analyst and former assistant US attorney of the Southern District of New York, weighed in on this ruling. So let's take a look at that.
This is a conservative ideology that clearly comes through in this decision. It's a conservative political ideology, right? We saw some of the quotes questioning vaccines, questioning masks, conservative talking points. But the ruling itself is the opposite of judicial conservatism. This is one of the most aggressive, far-reaching rulings you'll ever see. What this judge is purporting to do is to micromanage, really, the day-to-day interactions between essentially the entire executive branch, all these agencies that are listed as defendants, and the leading social media companies. And in the actual temporary injunction, the judge basically says, you're not allowed, administration, to talk to these social media companies about any protected free speech except for cybersecurity threats, national security threats, criminal threats. But where's the line? Who's going to police this?
Yeah, and as we said earlier, the Biden administration is going to challenge this ruling, definitely. And it'll probably be reversed on appeal, hopefully. But Republicans have already been really quick to celebrate it. From the New York Times article, Jeff Landry, the Louisiana Attorney General, said in a statement that the judge's order was historic. Missouri's Attorney General Andrew Bailey hailed the ruling as a huge win in the fight to defend our most fundamental freedoms. Both officials are Republican. Now, there has been an increase in disinformation regarding COVID-19, of course. From Digital Journal, the impact of this trust deficit becomes evident in different areas of research. One study reveals that nearly 80% of adults have encountered at least one of 8 false statements about the COVID-19 pandemic. Study further found that belief in COVID-19 misinformation was directly correlated with both vaccination status and partisanship. And it won't surprise you that this next graph will show you where people are consuming the most misinformation and disinformation. Yeah, of course, it's Facebook. Of course, it's on Facebook, naturally. I mean, Francesca, I had friends who said things to me that I was shocked that I had a friend who said she was afraid to get the vaccine because she thought it would make her unable to have children in the future. And of course, where did she find that? On Facebook. And I think that there is, a security issue that the government has an interest in, preventing this information from spreading widely because it does put people at risk. It severely puts them at risk of harm.
Yeah. Right, it is a national security threat if you believe that COVID-19 is real. If you believe that the over 1 million people who died in this country are actually dead. Or I guess they all just died of, pre-existing causes. I wonder, or like it is This is so critical to the moment that we're living in. And sadly, once again, we do not have the government equipped to truly take this fight on. Look, this judge was appointed by Donald Trump in 2017. I'm sure he bought his bar degree, on some sort of floating island owned by Peter Thiel. Like I have no question about that. This dude was put there for a reason. This is why elections, sadly, in our duopoly system just matter, right? And look, I think that the other thing to note about this is that the Biden administration had a disinformation board they were putting together, if you guys remember that. And then guess what? All the right wing, they descended on one of the advisors, I believe it was Taylor Lorenz, and they freaked out about this person advising the White House. And then what did the White House do? They backed away from their disinformation board. So we are very ill-equipped to combat basic disinformation. And this again, it's like, the money is in favor of disinformation. The algorithm loves disinformation. Ergo, all of these social media sites love disinformation. No one is putting the brakes on the amount of disinformation. No one. So who's gonna do it? It has to be the federal government. It has to be the government to play some kind of role.
Exactly, and just to the point quickly about judges, I mean, it hasn't escaped me that the people who were telling you not to worry about appointments of federal judges are the same people spreading COVID misinformation now that the judiciary is squarely in their favor.